It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host for the day, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events right here in the four communities. One of the biggest events coming up very, very soon right here in West Bloomfield is going to be the Heroes Breakfast. And the registration for this year's Heroes Breakfast ends today. This event is going to be taking place on November 2nd from 9 to 10:30 a.m. at the West Bloomfield Middle School as they honor the hard work and sacrifices made by those in the military. This event is being done in conjunction with West Bloomfield Parks, the West Bloomfield School District, the West Bloomfield Township Public Library, and West Bloomfield Township. All of this is done to recognize these individuals and their families. Once again, registration for this event ends today. So if you want to be a part of this event and come and stop by and show your support for all of these heroes, you can go to wbparks.org to learn more information and to register for this event. But it's sure to be a lot of fun in the community and a lot of great work done to honor those who have done so much to help this country. But we're also doing a lot of work to help those nearby in the community, including work with the Michigan Police, who starting this week, police departments all across Michigan are helping to crack down on illegal school bus passing with Operation Safe Stop right now during School Bus Safety Week. Officers will be increasing patrols, working with local school officials and districts to educate communities and to enforce laws. As in 2023, Michigan has had 988 school bus related crashes, including 73 at bus stops where lights were activated, resulting in 31 injuries. And not only that, but a recent survey reported that over 1,300 illegal passes occurred in just one day, all of which are numbers that absolutely need to start to go down, as penalties include fines up to $7,500 and up to 15 years in prison. So this is a reminder to everyone in the community to be aware of school buses, and when you see those red lights flashing, make sure that you stop at least 20 feet from a school bus to make sure that all of the kids get on safely. But a lot of great information from this and a lot of great stuff to look out for. And if you also want to help out the school districts in another way, the West Bloomfield Educational Foundation is always looking for donations and sponsors. Your tax-deductible donation supports the organization in providing enhanced learning resources to the teachers and students of the West Bloomfield School District. WBEF is also seeking out sponsors for their annual public fundraising event, Casino Night, to be held February 7th of next year at Glen Oaks Country Club. You can review the different sponsorship levels and make your online donation on the website WBEF.org. So don't be afraid to go to that website and to look up where you can help out, because absolutely these guys need all the supporters they can get, and it's great to have any additional help they can get. But we're also looking ahead towards this weekend, as the West Bloomfield School District is still excited for West Bloomfield Laker football as they prepare to end their regular season on a high note following last week's exciting 34-3 blowout win against Birmingham Seaholm. Tyler Keefe from our team had a chance to speak to one of the stars of that game and an up-and-coming key player in the Lakers' offensive and defensive schemes.
And coming off your biggest game of the season on the road last week in a tough environment against Seaholm, take us through your reaction after 100 yards last game, more than tripled your total yards from the season on the offensive side. Take us through that performance.
I just want to first say thank you to my online. Without them and without my blockers, it wouldn't have been possible for me to get those 100 yards. And I just want to thank my coaches for giving me the opportunity to be able to show what my true talents are and like the real true person who Malcolm is. And I just want to thank you for that opportunity. And, My mindset through that game, I was just focused on really running the ball. When I run the ball, I just feel like myself, just like a kid again, just playing football on the field with a bunch of other regular people. I'm just a human being like everybody else. So they bleed the same. I cry the same tears. We all cry the same. So it wasn't nothing really different for me, just playing football and just being myself.
So for most of this season, what we've seen from you is kind of being, as I said earlier on, a defensive utility player, a little bit at the linebacker, a little bit at the third level with the safety crew and the nickel backs and all of them. But you've kind of developed into this player that's been reliable as a support guy in all three phases. What was it like for you to kind of switch that up last week and be more of that featured guy?
I just really, throughout playing football, I just really want to make it far in this. So I just feel like being able to run that day, it was really my chance to show people what I could really do and who I really am.
Malcolm Gibson with us on This Week in Laker Football, running back, linebacker extraordinaire for the Lakers. After a big performance last week in Birmingham, looking for something similar this week as the Lakers wrap up their regular season on the road in Roseville. And development's been the key word for your team all season long. Relatively young across the board, but those senior leaders in Josh in the backfield, Bo at the quarterback, Jamal at the quarterback, that offensive line, how have they played a role in you continuing to be able to take a big step each and every week and be a key contributor to this team late in the season?
Definitely Josh Tate and Bo and the line, they're great role models for me. Josh Tate running the ball, it allows me to, get an image of what I need to do to be a varsity player and, to be an absolute unit to run the ball for the team, for them to rely on me.
And, you're still a young player. It's really your first time getting those big varsity minutes in 2024. It's increased throughout the season. There's always a couple of those players that seem to sneak into the fold as the season goes on and become impact players. And Lakers felt that impact in the past few weeks. The game against Oxford, you're taken out of the game early on after things got a little bit chippy in that ball game. What did you learn from that experience and then take that into another high-pressure environment last week on the road in Birmingham?
We definitely learned from that experience that we definitely got to come with a better mentality, and no matter what happened in the next game or what happened before or what's going to happen after, we definitely just got to keep our head focused on what's in front of us and move on after we complete that trial and tribulation.
Do you think the team has turned a corner after last week and what we saw in the past few weeks when the team was shining against Lake Orion, even for a little while against Oxford and Clarkston in those losses? Do you think that they're starting to hit that point where you can really be scary come playoff time?
Most definitely. I think now more than ever, my team, I think we're ready mentally and physically we're ready. And I think my guys, I think we're ready to do what we got to do.
What do you think's been the difference maker in turning that corner?
I think definitely our coaches and the losses that we took. Our coaches, keeping us in the game, telling us to keep our head straight, block out all the noise, don't worry about what other people saying about our losses and about what West Bloomfield used to be. And I definitely think that was a big change for us.
100 yards on the ground last week in Birmingham, became a featured back in that backfield. Now Lakers got kind of a two-headed monster back there in Josh Tate and Malcolm Gibson, going to have a continued high impact on the team this week against Roseville. Malcolm, as you close out this season, what are you personally looking forward to up your game this week and hopefully contribute big to another Laker victory?
I'm definitely looking to just, keep playing and being myself, not to lose myself within, whatever trials come with playing this great sport.
Playoff selection shows on Sunday after Friday's game. After a win last week, looks like you guys are going to be going dancing. You're looking forward to that selection Sunday. Any special plans with the fellas?
Not yet, but I'm definitely going to find something to do.
Big smile on his face. That means it's playoff time. The Lakers are focused and ready for a big game to close out the regular season. Back on the road this Friday, going up against the Panthers of Roseville, a battle between the 4-4 Lakers, the 6-2 Panthers. We'll have our full coverage for you on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. Stay tuned on our website, civiccentertv.com/Laker Sports for more updates. Malcolm, thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Stay tuned on civiccentertv.com/Laker Sports for more information on our coverage as the Lakers take on the Roseville Panthers Friday night at 7 p.m. And check out that page for a new edition of This Week in Laker Football premiering today. But a big congratulations to all of the West Bloomfield Lakers for their continued success this great football season. But congratulations are also in order for some of the other officials and other big names in our community, including a local firefighter, Mark Lowry, the assistant fire chief with the West Bloomfield Fire Department, who just graduated from the EMU Fire Staff and Command Executive Leadership Program. An incredible honor and a great thing to see right here in the community. And here to tell us more is the man himself, assistant fire chief with the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Mark Lowry. Mark, thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, happy to join you. This is exciting for me. I don't think it's quite as exciting as the football, but I'll do what I can.
I don't know. This is a pretty big honor, which first of all, congratulations for this achievement, Mark. Absolutely great to see. What can you tell us about this Command Executive Leadership Program?
Thanks. It's a 9-month course where you attend 1 week each month. And the most interesting part of it's probably the interaction that you have with 40 other executive officers throughout the state of Michigan. The course covers a lot, anything from leadership theory development, personal organizational development, performance management, ethics, policy writing, grant writing, homeland security, fire prevention. It covers the entire gambit of everything that we do to serve the community. And it prepares any executive leaders that are up and coming to do this role. An executive leader in the fire service, as not fun as it sounds, doesn't really drag hose anymore and put out fires. We do considerably less exciting things than that when it comes to budgeting and long-term planning and making sure that the community is safe at the, not as fun to say, but paper pushing level.
Well, all those roles are still very, very important to the fire department. Let's absolutely keep that in mind. But this is still a great achievement, Mark. How long has this been something that's been on your mind, and how long has this been something that you've wanted to go after and achieve?
Oh, great question. When I was the training officer about 6 years ago, I became interested in this program. And each time an opportunity came up, I ended up sending one of our own staff members to make sure that they could get their further education. And last year, the opportunity came up and I didn't have anybody who was in line. So it worked out well and I could slide myself in without taking a spot from one of my other staff members, because 3/4 of our role here in administration is preparing our future leaders to take over when we are gone. So I finally got the opportunity to attend. I also have the honor to instruct in the course at times. So I'm very familiar with how the program works. And now I've had the opportunity to sit through the entire process, and it was a great experience for me. I learned a lot.
That's great. And I want to go into that a little bit more, because now that you have this achievement, what do you hope to bring to the fire department as things go forward?
But just like any of our other staff members who have attended, one of the things that we do is we spend all 9 months putting together a research project. My particular research project happened to be on the rank structure within the fire service in general. Found out that the rank service and the fire service in general is not standardized, and it's probably something that we should be doing. Working with our local Oakway mutual aid groups, hoping that we can standardize at least the company level organization when it comes to rank. And when I say company level, those are the folks that are actually on the fire ground entering a burning building, and those that are commanding those entering a burning building. Trying to standardize that to eliminate some of the potential downfalls of our service. And those who have gone before me have brought their research projects back, and we've been able to implement some of those as well. So the whole process and the concept behind the research project that all 40 individuals do is to make the fire service better and to protect our communities better.
Mark Lowry with the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Assistant Fire Chief, joins us right now in the Splash to talk about his recent graduation from the EMU Fire Staff. Now, Mark, with this being such an incredible honor, what does it mean personally to you to achieve this?
This is a hard project for me to do. And one of the things that I'm kind of continuing on with is my master's program. In technology sciences at Eastern Michigan University, attending this last course got me 5 of the classes that I needed in my program. I'm currently taking one more that'll leave me with 4 more so I can finish my master's degree in technology sciences. And believe it or not, technology is changing every day as I'm doing this interview via Zoom to you in your own home. So it's an exciting process and one of the things that's going to affect the fire service as well. So I'm excited that I was able to complete that process, that it puts me closer to my master's degree, and that I can continue to professionally develop myself, which is the same thing that I look for in my staff.
You're absolutely right. And absolutely, technology does change every single day, and it is something to absolutely be aware of. Now, as you talked about continuing your education, I'm very curious to learn about how the fire department has been in regards to supporting you and other officers as they continue their educational journey.
Oh, without a doubt. It's one of the things that we hold very near and dear to our hearts is making sure that our succession planning when it comes to educating our officers, that they're ready to take the roles that they're going to step into. We have a pretty robust officer development program locally within the department. And as I said earlier, we have sent multiple people to this exact same program to get some education that is outside of our own department. And our department and the township supports us very well when it comes to education and making sure that we're prepared to take care of the community that we serve.
That's fantastic. That's great to hear that the fire department is helping all of their fellow officers in this great way. What are some of the biggest resources, would you say, that they provide to their officers? Maybe ones that the public isn't aware of?
One of the things that they might not be aware of, the department itself has some funds in its budget to support individuals who are achieving their associate's degree or their bachelor's degrees. So we're trying to help eliminate that burden of finance when someone is taking maybe it's an online associate's course or an online bachelor's course, as long as it's fire service related and can help the community. The chief has set aside some budgetary dollars to help them. So it's education reimbursement. We also expect you to get good grades. So that's part of it.
That's absolutely right. Got to make sure that your education stays up to the level that it needs to be. And going more into the support for their staff, I understand there might also be some scholarship opportunities that might be available with some of the younger members of the fire staff. Is that correct?
Recently, we've gotten some federal dollars in some grant funds that we can hopefully send some folks to medic school and to paramedic school. So we are trying to reach out to our community to get some folks interested in that because paramedic school, it takes time, it takes dollars. And so we're trying to support some of the local folks to go through that process. That paramedic's license seems to be the golden ticket to get a job in the fire service here in Southeast Michigan. And we're trying to reinforce the fire service in general. We would love everyone to come to West Bloomfield because we think this is the greatest place to work. But we're also focusing on the fire service in general, which is an area that we're currently struggling with. But we're getting much better.
And that's great to see. Glad to see all of the work that the fire department is doing. Mark, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Just one more question before we let you go. Where can people go to maybe learn more information about some of these opportunities?
Well, the township has a wonderful website. If they want to go there, they can go to look for job opportunities. If they want to call the fire department, find the website, find the phone numbers. You can call me directly at my office. I would love to talk to you about potential opportunities in the fire service. I would love to talk to you about potential opportunities in the West Bloomfield Fire Service. This is a wonderful township that we support. They are very supportive of us, and I can't think of a better job to have. I'm fortunate to work here, love working here, and love serving the community that I'm honored to be in.
And we thank you so much for serving this community. Assistant Fire Chief with the West Bloomfield Fire Department, Mark Lowry. Thank you so much for your time today.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. Great to hear of all of his success and great to hear of all of these incredible opportunities you can have with the West Bloomfield Fire Department. But there are also opportunities you can see all throughout the community, including ones with music. as this week on October 26th at 12 o'clock noon, the Kego Harbor Halloween event will be taking place at Rose Sorter Park. A great chance to enjoy pumpkin decorating, trick-or-treating, a mini haunted tunnel, cider, donuts, and all sorts of spooky treats that will be available. But also, it will feature some live music from a local band of kids called Ultraviolet, and they join us right now on The Splash. Ultraviolet, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you for letting us be here.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Glad to have all of you with us. This is going to be so much fun. I can't wait to see what you guys have to do at this event. And my first question for you guys, I mean, that's such a cool name, Ultraviolet. How did you come together to form the band, and how did you come up with the name?
So, basically, the way our band actually kind of formed, we all go to the same music studio for band lessons, and our actual, like, studio does this thing where they'll, like, handpick some students and put them in this thing called a fire band. So, like, basically, like, more than a year now, right?
Yeah.
So, basically, just more than a year now has been, and we got grouped together, and over time, we're just a band now, so pretty interesting. And Ultraviolet just kind of came from our old instructor named Jana. We were just writing down lists of names, and that name just came above and just kind of stuck.
Well, you picked a great one. Ultraviolet, it absolutely just leaps off the page, and it definitely makes a mark. I love the name. And with a name like that, I can imagine that the performance is going to be, like, the music's going to absolutely live up to the name. What kind of music can the audience expect during your performance at the Kego Harbor event?
You could probably expect, like, we are, like, a student band, so we're still experimenting with, like, different kinds of music. So right now, for the songs we have learned, I would hope you would expect some classic rock with we have some Journey on there, and just some normal rock such as like Sweet Child of Mine and By Guns N' Roses. And we also throw in a bit of pop, kind of like Adele's Rolling in the Deep.
Nice. You picked some great songs. Very excited to hear how you make those songs your own. Now, being young kids and having a band like this, I can imagine that having to balance working in a band and also with other things like school, it can be a bit of a challenge. So as young musicians, how do you balance band practice with school and other events like this?
Well, we all go to school still, as you already know. I personally go to a 7th grade middle school, AGS, in Fenton, Michigan, and my school gets out early, so I have lots of time to practice. But we all get together on Thursday evenings to practice at our studio, Joyful Noise. And we also, if we feel like we need like more practice on like special songs, then we will all get together at one of the band members' houses to practice our songs with a bunch of band equipment.
Nice. Glad to hear that you're absolutely doing the right thing and making both of these things, both school and band practice, a big priority. Joining us right now on The Splash, we have Ultraviolet, a band who's going to be performing at the Kego Harbor event coming up on October 26th. Now, obviously, this is an incredible opportunity to play for a community audience like this. What's your favorite part about performing at fun family events like this?
One of our favorite parts is probably just like having fun with each other and connecting with all the kids our age.
Nice. Easy, simple answer. I love it. That's great. That's exactly the kind of energy that you want for performances like this and for events like this. Now, all of you guys, I'd imagine, coming together, you each have your own musical influences. Who are some of your favorite artists and bands, and how would you say they've helped to inspire your sound with Ultraviolet?
Honestly, for me personally, I've always grown up in a house where just the Beatles or just like any like classic rock, like just any like Weezer, I've always had that in the background of my house. But so rock has definitely been an influence on my drumming, but some main influence for me are probably like some Beastie Boys or like some Green Day. Love me some Green Day. and this one band called The Interrupters. I feel like their bands have really had an impact on like how I play today.
Nice, great picks. I mean, I can imagine this would make the sound incredible for your performance. Now, having this be a Halloween event, I'm curious, are you putting a nice Halloween spin on some of these performances, or how are you having the holiday influence the performance that you're going to be giving pretty soon?
So we actually have learned a new Halloween song just in the couple of weeks that we will be playing there. And I'm pretty sure we will all be wearing a group Halloween costume on stage. We're still trying to figure out what ones we want to do, but we will, by then, probably decide. So.
Nice. Very excited to see it. Once again, Ultraviolet is joining us right here on The Splash, a local band who's going to be performing at the Keego Harbor event coming up on October 26th. Now, my next question to you is, what advice would you give? Because obviously there's going to be a lot of people out there, a lot of kids who might be willing to start their own band just like you guys. What advice would you give to young students looking to start a band like your own?
Well, if you want to start a band, then I suggest you start by picking your instrument. And then whether it's just a group of friends or you want to meet new people and start a band, I would like to give a little special thing, like our song that we play by Journey, Don't Stop Believin', is probably the message I'd like to send out. If you want to start a band, then just follow your dream and start a band with a bunch of friends.
That's absolutely right, and absolutely great song, great message. I want to thank all you guys for joining us today. One more question before we let you go. Obviously, once this event is done, I'm sure you guys have plenty of other great performances and events lined up. Can you give us a little sneak peek on some of the great events and performances you might be giving in the next few months?
This will be kind of later, but we will be doing Barn Fest at Stony Acres soon. That's like, it's going to be around next summer though. We are definitely going to have a bunch more like open mics at the same place, but we are just seeing where we're going. So yeah.
Well, I can't wait to see what that journey is and where you guys go from here. Big thank you to, individually, Kelsey Wilson, Kat Shepard, Brooke Ogden, Ari Kelly, and Ava Kelly from Ultraviolet. Thank you all so much for joining us today on The Splash.
Thank you for inviting us. Have a nice rest of your evening, everyone.
Thank you, you too.
That is so amazing to see all of these kids with so much musical talent, and it's great to see them have their moment and to have this great performance coming up with Keego Harbor. Absolutely can't wait to see it. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. We got more stories with you right after the break.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Hi, I'm Lauren Azuri, the Park Naturalist Supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to you, Civic Center TV, for hitting 1 million views on YouTube. We really appreciate your partnership in spreading nature education in a creative way in our community. I'm Lauren Azuri, proud to be 1 in a million.
Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
It's cheap, it's potent, and it's profitable. The sad reality is, fentanyl is being mixed into everything now.
More kids should know.
I'm Gina Gregory, president of the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society. I'm excited that Civic Center TV has reached 1 million views on YouTube. Congratulations, that's just terrific. We appreciate everything Civic Center does for the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society and the community. For us, they promote and highlight our events. It's awesome to have them available 24/7 on YouTube. I'm Gina Gregory and proud to be one in a million.
Bringing you stories and memories from Orchard Lake, Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going into some of the biggest stories from right here and around the four communities. Now, in recent years, our team has partnered with Sylvan Lake to tell the Sylvan story. And a sixth edition of the program just premiered on Civic Center TV, providing another exciting look through history on the prettiest little city in Michigan. And here to tell us more about this new installment is Sylvan Lake historian Helen Jane Peters, who joins us on The Splash. And Helen Jane, what can you tell us about this new installment of Sylvan Stories?
Well, this painting that you can see behind me was in the Daniel Whitfield School. It was painted in 1928 by Roy Gamble, a noted Detroit painter. And in 1991, Whitfield School was closed because of many reasons in the Pontiac school system. And the teacher in that classroom was Mrs. Carol Samuelo. And this painting was over the fireplace in this classroom. This was a classic classroom. The whole school was classic. It was like an arts and crafts style school. So this painting was actually commissioned by Charles Fisher, who was an architect for the school. And he and his wife commissioned Roy Gamble to paint this picture for the classroom. I don't know how they decided to paint Mary and her little lamb, but it's a beautiful, beautiful painting. And it was on oil, on canvas, and it was attached to the wall with very, very strong adhesive. So Carol Samuelo in that classroom tried all summer to remove the painting because she knew what could happen if the building were torn down. And that eventually did happen. So Carol worked all summer. She called the DIA, she called various artists that she knew, and nobody could help her. So then she called the Greater West Bloomfield Historical Society, which was an excellent idea. So, oh gosh, what's his name? The president of the Historical Society came to Whitfield School. In fact, we have a picture of him removing the painting. I'm looking. And it was in the newspaper. It was here it is. Jim Larriman was the president of the Historical Society at that time. And he went to the school and he took with him a 10-pound mallet and a chisel. And he began to work on the painting. He decided that he had to remove the plaster along with the painting, which I'm sure was quite a process. But he eventually got the painting off the wall. Tell me if you want me to stop.
No, you're great, Helen. Don't worry. It's amazing that you have access to this painting now. What does it mean to be able to showcase it to the people of Sylvan Lake?
Oh my goodness. Well, I grew up in Sylvan Lake, and so I attended Whitfield School from kindergarten through 6th grade. And I was in that room for, I think, possibly for 1st grade instead of kindergarten, but I'm not positive of that. That was a very long time ago. Anyway, we are thrilled to have this painting back in Sylvan Lake. So after Jim Larriman took it from the wall, they took it to the Historical Society Museum, which is at the corner of Long Lake and Orchard Lakes. And if you have not been to the museum, you really need to go. It's been redone, and it is just fabulous. There's a section for each community, plus the big room that has all kinds of history about this area. So what they did, they took this painting, it was on canvas, so it was like on fabric in a way. And they, the board members would sit in a circle around the painting during their board meetings, and everybody would take a section and try to get the plaster off the back of the painting. If you can imagine this, it's kind of like a quilting bee, only they're taking the plaster off the back of the painting. So eventually, they got it to the point where they could put stretcher bars on the back of it, and they could hang it up. This happened during the presentation. My nose starts itching. Anyway, they put it on stretcher bars, and they hung it in a very special place right by the front door in the museum. It was there for 20 years.
Wow.
And finally, the board members decided, I think that we could use that space for something else, because the painting is 5 by 5 feet by 5 feet. It's a huge painting. And so I was there, and they said, would you like to have this painting back in Sylvan Lake? My heart almost stopped. I love that painting. So the first thing we did was we had Dumichels come out and appraise the painting. What is it worth? Well, it wasn't a very high value because the painting was not in the best of condition. I think it was either $200 or $400 that they thought the painting was worth. Well, it was worth $1 million to me and anybody who went to it.
And I'm sure it's worth $1 million to the people of Sylvan Lake. I mean, that's great that you had this on display, Helen. And I want to talk about what it means to be able to showcase just history in general to the people of Sylvan Lake. What's that like?
Oh, gosh, that is just more fun. I am constantly meeting people that say, well, who lived in my house before I did? And it's quite possible I knew those people. I lived on Inverness, and so I knew my neighbors very well. But now we live on Garland, and I know my neighbors, and I can remember who lived there. I might have gone to school with somebody who lived in their house previously. Or I have some connection. It's all in my head, and I wish I could figure out how to put this down so people could research this and find out something that they know. But it's really fun for me to share what I know about different places. And I have done, this is number 6 or 7 of these presentations. So I have shared a lot about what I know about Sylvan Lake. So to me, it's fun, it's interesting, and it's really rewarding to help people know a little bit more about the prettiest little city in the state of Michigan, as you said earlier.
That's absolutely right, and that's great that Sylvan Stories has been continuing on for 6 installments so far. And I want to talk about how great is it to have had these events and these presentations help educate the people of Sylvan.
Well, it's really interesting for me to look out at the audience and watch their reaction to things that I tell them. And this time, we kind of had an open question and answer time. And it so happened that our mayor was there, so he was able to answer some questions. So that part is really fun, too. I think the people, they marvel at the fact that we know these things about our little city. You know, we are only a mile or a mile and a half square. We have 800 homes. We have about 1,600 people. And it's just amazing that we know so much about our little city. And we can thank many people for that. We can certainly thank Mrs. Carol Samuelo for saving this painting. If she had not saved it, it would have gone with the wrecking ball.
That's absolutely right.
So much did go, was ruined by the wrecking ball.
Well, it's great that we had this painting preserved, Helen. I want to thank you so much for your time today. One more question before we let you go. What do you hope to see from these events as time goes on, and how do you hope that this event benefits or educates the people of the community?
Well, my hope is that these are all at Civic Center TV, and I do have the link to get to them. and post this on post it on Facebook. But I'm hoping that they will all be preserved. They will all be possibly linked together. They're all different subjects, but I'm hoping that they will be preserved forever. And there should be a way for us to have these available in City Hall. I have what I was telling Carol, I have a history closet at my house, and this is my book about the painting. And you can see this one isn't very thick, but most of them are twice the size of history that I have shared, that I have saved for the city of Sylvan Lake. So I'm just, years from now, I hope people will research and find out a little bit more about where they live or something specific about the city. Because it's just amazing that we have all this history here in our little city.
Absolutely, and it's great to have people like you helping to preserve this history and to tell these stories. Sylvan Lake historian Helen Jane Peters, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
So glad to have you with us. And if you want to see the full presentation of this Sylvan story with the painting Mary Had a Little Lamb, you can go to civiccentertv.com to find the full presentation and to learn so much more about the prettiest little city in Michigan. Always great to have these stories and to talk about great events right here in the four communities. But we also want to talk about stuff that affects everybody county-wide. And Oakland County just extended this Rides on Us program, providing free transportation for veterans and their caregivers through September of 2025. This extension was made possible through a $530,000 grant from the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency, and this program aims to improve accessibility and quality of life for so many of the county's veterans. And here to tell us more about this program is Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter. Dave, thanks so much for joining us today on The Splash.
Hey, thanks for having me today to talk about a really exciting program.
Yes, this is a great program. Glad to have you with us. So, how has the response from veterans and their families shaped the decision to extend the This Rides on Us program for another year?
Yeah, as I think you know, we launched it at the beginning of the summer through the end of September to see, is this something that our veterans would actually take advantage of? Is it a benefit that they need? We thought it was, but we weren't sure. But we've already given over almost 3,000 rides, free rides to our veterans to wherever they want to go, whether it's a doctor's appointment, a senior center, the grocery store, almost 3,000 rides just in that short period of time in the summer. And so, as you mentioned, through a generous grant from the state of Michigan's Veterans Affairs folks, we're now able to extend this service for a whole nother year. So this will now go till the end of next September, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
Absolutely, and this is such great news and such great things for the Oakland community. And I want to talk about what are some of the key challenges that Oakland County veterans face in terms of transportation, and how does this program affect these concerns?
You know, they have a myriad of concerns, whether they're health challenges, whether they live in a more rural area, they have a lot of issues. But one of the issues that we sometimes encounter with trying to give our veterans benefits like this is they're reluctant to take help. They're servers. They're used to serving our country and serving their communities. They're not as anxious to take service from others. And so that's why I was really delighted to see that they took advantage of this service while we offered it. We have about 53,000 veterans in Oakland County. So this program is not just for them, but for their dependents and their families. They can all take advantage of this, and they are taking advantage of it. And so I'm delighted to see it. And as you can see on the screen, we're not talking about big buses here, although you can ride the big buses for free, but we're talking about the paratransit, smaller buses that'll pick you up at your house, take you where you need to go, take you back home for no cost.
And that's great. And you're absolutely right. And these veterans have done so much to help our country and our community. Now it's our turn to say, hey, let's help you, and let's help you with what you need for the future. So How do you see this program evolving beyond 2025 to ensure sustainable access to veterans all throughout Oakland County?
But we will keep looking for money for this program. It's about $500,000 that the state gave us. So that's a lot of money, more than we have in our current budget. But we're going to continue. We're going to analyze the program, see if how well it's working, see if people continue to take advantage of it, and if it does, we'll look for other funding. But the other thing I hope it teaches us is this. I mentioned that veterans are sometimes reluctant to ask for help. I want to give you a great example. We met a veteran through our Veteran Services Department, and we went out to his apartment. He had no electricity or heat in his home, and he was sleeping on his couch. And we said, sir, we can connect you to programs that can help you get your heat back on and help you get your light back on. And his response was, no, that's okay. I can handle it. I'll be okay. So hopefully this program, when they see that we're serious about it and we figure out how to reach them, it will help educate us how to message to them, how to reach them for other vital services that they need and might be reluctant to accept.
Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter is joining us right here on The Splash to talk about the This Rides on Us program in Oakland County that was just extended all the way through September of 2025 to benefit veterans and to help give them proper transportation. Now, you did mention this a little bit, Dave, about the grant you just received worth $530,000. How has that donation and that grant played a role into helping make this program even better?
Well, it's what's made it possible. We still have to reimburse the providers. SMART is the largest provider in our county, but there's a number of smaller ones, WODA, NODA, and the other providers. They need to be reimbursed. They can't afford to do these services for free. So it's what makes it possible. And we will be spending the next year looking for grants, looking for funding to continue this program, while, as I said, evaluating whether it's been cost effective. If there's ways we can enhance it or change it, we'll be evaluating. I'm a big data-driven guy. I want to see the data. How does the program work? What can we do to enhance it if we need to or change it? So we'll be looking at all those things over the next 12 months. But the great news is that for the next year, if you're a veteran or a dependent or family member of a veteran, you'll have these services for the next year.
And that's great that all of the work that Oakland County is doing to helping to ensure that this program sticks around. But I also want to talk about the ways that the community can help support further initiatives aimed at improving the quality of life for veterans, particularly in areas of transportation and social services. Could you go into detail about that a little more?
Yeah, I want to encourage a lot of our communities. We have 62 different cities, villages, and townships across the county. They all offer various senior and some veteran programs of some sort. But we have a Veterans Affairs Department in Oakland County that coordinates all of those services. So whether you work for one of our local communities or you're just a member of one of our local communities and want to know all the various services that exist, either for our veterans, or we now have a senior older adult services department as well, you can call the county. And if you're a veteran, and I think you've got some of the information on the screen, but you can call us at 248-419-7984, and you can get connected to this transportation program or the other veteran services that we provide. And it's a whole host of things, including what benefits you're entitled to, funeral and death benefits, and all of the other things that our veterans are entitled to. We can help coordinate all of those services for you.
Great to hear, Dave, and glad to hear of all the work you guys are doing. I got one more question before we let you go. What partnerships with other organizations or transportation services do you envision expanding to enhance this program's reach and effectiveness in the future?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm all about collaboration. We don't have to do it all ourselves. There are providers out there that are doing this work. So the Older People's Commission in Rochester Hills, which does seniors services, we partner with them on transportation services. Even, as I said, SMART is our biggest transportation provider, but we work with WODA in the west end of the county, NODA. So we're always looking to find out what veterans organizations exist, like the VFW, the AMVETS, and the other organization. And we love to partner with those folks to help get the word out, to help to reach the veterans, because veterans tend to trust those organizations maybe more than they do the government. So we're always looking to expand those opportunities. And if there are people out there that work with a veterans organization or a senior group, for instance, that wants to partner with Oakland County, I'd encourage them to reach out because we'd love to talk to them.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they would love to talk to you as well, Dave. Thank you so much for joining us today, Oakland County Executive Dave Coulter.
Thank you so much.
Glad to have you with us and glad to hear so much about this program's continued success. And we have programs all throughout the 4 communities aiming to help the people, not just the older residents, but also some of the younger residents as well, including mindfulness programming, partnering with the West Bloomfield School District, with the Jamie Daniels Foundation, helping to prevent kids from facing the dangers of drugs and overdoses and many other things such as that. And here to tell us more, we have one of the founders of the Jamie Daniels Foundation, Lisa Daniels Goldman. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Good morning to you, and it's amazing to hear about all of this work that you're doing to help with the West Bloomfield School District and beyond. Could you tell us a little bit about what is the Jamie Daniels Foundation?
Sure. So the Jamie Daniels Foundation was named in loving memory of my son, Jamie, who died of fentanyl poisoning while he was in treatment in Florida at the age of 23. After he was manipulated by doctors in treatment for financial gain through his insurance. And but the main point of why we started the foundation was felt we had to send Jamie away. There wasn't enough help here locally in Michigan, and once we found out what had happened to him. Knowing what we went through, what we continue to go through on a daily basis, not having Jamie in our lives, we didn't want anyone else to suffer that way. So we came out as a family and told Jamie's story and continue to tell Jamie's story so that hopefully, if we can save one person, that's what we do. So we raised funds. We don't provide programming. We raise funds for programming that help with recovery, stigma reduction, and prevention.
Lisa, first and foremost, very sorry to hear about what you've had to go through and about the loss of Jamie, but it's great that you've been able to turn this into something to help people all throughout the state of Michigan and hopefully beyond. And I want to go into you talk about how you help provide recovery resources for these kids. What are some of those things that you do provide?
So for our recovery pillar, we have helped finance collegiate recovery programming within 9 universities and colleges around the state. And these are programs that are developed on campus in conjunction with the universities and colleges that they're at. And you have to apply, you are vetted, and what the programs do are those that are in recovery who either want to go to university or college or get back to school because they had to leave to go into recovery, have a safe place and somewhere where they can go to continue their recovery with meetings and have 24/7 peer support on campus. And we know that, the stats show us that 85% of the students that are in these collegiate recovery programs go on to graduate and continue with their careers and stay in recovery.
That is amazing. And that's all of this information is so great to hear in helping all of these kids. And when you hear statistics like this, does it just show how far the foundation has come and how much work, like what lies ahead? Things like that. Like, where do you see the foundation going throughout the next few years?
Well, I see us continuing until they don't need us anymore. Unfortunately, we have a drug epidemic in this country, and with financial support, more programs are developed, evidence-based programming that are helping our youth. And we now started our prevention, which is in the elementary schools. And if we teach kids mindfulness and coping through yoga, the goal is to give them the tools that they need, that if they feel anxious or depressed, that they don't turn to self-medicate, and they have tools that they can use themselves in order to avoid that going into middle school and high school. If so, that's why we work with other nonprofits. We work with groups around, like the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition, who has this mindfulness and coping through yoga that they implemented into the elementary schools throughout West Bloomfield. And the feedback we've received in the last 2 years that they've had it in the school, it's just been incredible. This is the second full year that they'll have the program for the students. We've developed it in other communities as well. Or I should say we've financed it in other communities as well. But the children and the teachers learn mindfulness and coping, so that when our wonderful yoga instructor isn't there in the school teaching, the teachers can help the students if they're having a bad day. And it helps with bullying and just, all these things that our kids are now dealing with through social media and everything else. Knowing how to calm yourself at a young age will help you hopefully develop those skills as you get older, so that you don't turn to drugs and alcohol and self-medicate and have that potential for substance use disorder to develop.
And that's great that you're working to start with these kids at younger ages so that they know this information as they grow up. For those just joining us, we are talking with Lisa Daniels Goldman, the co-founder of the Jamie Daniels Foundation, who's working with West Bloomfield schools to help talk about substance abuse and to help prevent it. Now, I do want to ask you, Lisa, what are some of the things with drug abuse and drug addiction that many people might not be aware of, like things to maybe look out for?
That's a hard one, because unfortunately you don't have stages. It's not like stage 1, you see this. Somebody who is in distress with substance use disorder, you can go from behaving completely normal and nobody would know, and then the next day it's out of control. But things that you can look for with your kids is, concentration levels, isolating yourself in your room, isolating yourself from your friends, falling asleep, being excessively tired, anxious, angry. There are a lot of, and when I say these things, you can look at any child and say, well, I dealt with that with my kid and they're not on drugs. And that's true. So it's a very difficult disease to just pinpoint a start. But if parents educate themselves beforehand, when their kids are young, and know what the potential is, because our kids are so much smarter than we are today. They have so much access through social media. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has a computer now. You have to through school and everything. We want to be in touch with our kids 24/7 when they walk out the door from our home. And through these social media apps, be it, TikTok, Snapchat, they are ordering drugs and they are coming through, the US mail, and you wouldn't know. And I want to stress for parents who are listening, you do not have to be an addict to overdose. Kids are going out on the weekends or with their friends. They are still, if they think that a prescription from their parents or their grandparents' medicine cabinet, well, it was prescribed by a doctor, so it's safe, we can take it too. It's not true. And those are the things that we have to educate ourselves as parents to know, that one misstep, your kids' friends say, oh, I got this from my brother and he got it from his friend, but nobody knows who that dealer was that he got it from.
A big thank you to Lisa Daniels Goldman for her time today. Unfortunately, we are running short on time for this episode, but you can catch the full interview with Lisa Daniels Goldman on our website, civiccentertv.com, to learn more information about the Jamie Daniels Foundation and the work they're doing for the people of West Bloomfield. But that is our show today. Big thank you to Tyler Keefe at Master Control and to all of the guests for stopping by today. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.